A very good morning, everyone. Welcome to StudyIQ IAS English. Good morning, Jyoti. Good morning, Sagar. Good morning, Bulbul, Nagulan, Sakshi. Welcome to the Hindu News Analysis for 24th November 2025, where myself, Saumya, shall be taking up all the UPSC relevant articles from the Hindu newspaper, the New Delhi edition. And like every day, the idea is not just to read the news passively, but also to discuss, to interact, to share all the beautiful perspectives that keep coming from my students, to build upon it. And ultimately, at Study IQ, we believe that if you cross link current affairs with each other, if you make a mental map, a link between various current affairs and news, that's the best way you can remember everything for your final exam. And with that in mind, let's examine the Hindu newspaper New Delhi edition for 24th November 2025. On your screen, there are about 7 articles that I have chosen for discussion today. The first 2 articles are editorial articles. We always begin with the editorial articles because they are slightly lengthy. And after that, the remaining 5 articles are all news in the passing, global as well as Indian. So very good morning, Varnika, Terukula, aspirant, Sitaram. Ramu is here. Suresh is here. Mumtaz has come. I think I missed you, Mumtaz, for the last 2 days. And as other aspirants keep joining us, let's quickly begin by the editorial segment. Okay, so the first article is page number 8. It's the editorial page. It says, the letter has won, but the spirit has not lost. And what are we talking about? We are talking about various presidents. President is the topmost constitutional post in India. But in the last few months, we have seen so many controversies about the role of the president as well as the role of the governor. We all know that Indian federalism is completely about division of power between the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. But in the last few months, there has been a constant controversy. One, whether Supreme Court, that's the judiciary, has the right to decide how long should the president and the governor take to give their assent, approval to the bill. Various bills passed by legislature, whether it's Lok Sabha at the center or assemblies at the state level. There is one more controversy. Should presidents try their best to act as independently as possible? Because after all, it's the top executive post. If they get impacted by political parties or parliament, it completely defeats the purpose of having the top nominal executive head as the president of India. This article is exactly talking about that. It is also talking about 2 very interesting case studies with regards to India's constitutional history. So let's quickly take up these articles. Okay, that's wonderful, Terukula. Let me quickly also welcome here Rashika, Dishank, Meti, Prajesh. Akhtar is here after a long time. So God bless you. Good morning, each one of you. Now let's start with the article directly. Article says the Indian Republic, the Republic of India, has had 15 presidents so far. Yes, Indian democracy, Indian Republic has had 15 presidents so far. And so far we have had 16 tenures, 16 presidencies, out of which 15 presidents. Why? Because the inaugural president, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, had served 2 terms as the president of India. That means total 15 presidents and overall 16 presidencies India has seen right since India became an independent republic, a sovereign republic. Of the number of governors, now if we start looking at how many governors has India had across various states, today we have 28 states. How many governors have we had so far? Then the number is too large. From 1947, if we do an estimation, it is too large a number to be actually counted. So the article says, while we have had 15 presidents, 16 presidencies, Dr. Rajendra Prasad having served twice, the number of governors is huge, it's uncountable. Let's remember these offices, whether it's the president at the central level, whether it is the state governors at the state level, both these are the top constitutional bodies. They are not just roles, they are proper constitutional offices, and therefore they carry immense constitutional responsibility. Either they can do very good, either they can determine the future of a country, or they can cause a very significant harm to the future of the country. Because ultimately, all the bills, if they have to become a law, they need to be finally signed and approved by the governor and by the president at the center. It is the president who is responsible for proclaiming emergencies. In case there is a war aggression, in case there is a financial breakdown, it is the president who represents the government of India across various other diplomatic missions. After all, the president is also the supreme commander of our defense forces. It's a very powerful body. And therefore, in India, if you talk about the role of the president and the governors, it is expected that they will follow constitutional morality. What will they follow? They are supposed to follow constitutional morality. Now, the concept of constitutional morality in India was given by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, the architect of the Indian Constitution. So, we all know constitutional morality is a very important topic for GS paper 4. If you look at the PYQs of UPSC ethics paper, you will get many questions on constitutional morality. Direct 10 marks question. Always remember, a concept given by Dr. Ambedkar, and it is also a very relevant topic for GS paper 2, polity and governance. In India from the beginning, as Sir B.N. Rao created a draft of the constitution, it was Dr. B.R. Ambedkar who said constitution is not a dead hierarchy of laws. It is not just about passive laws. A constitution is like a living being. It has the soul and the spirit of Indian democracy. And that's when the concept of constitutional morality came. That our constitution is also an embodiment of various values, ethics, and morality that Indian people follow, that we believe in. A very good example could be directive principles of state policy. Part 4 of the Constitution, they embody in various ways Gandhian, socialistic, economic welfare based principles that are guidelines to the government. Therefore, whether it's the president or whether it is the governor, ultimately, constitutional morality is very important. Therefore, they should not act like a rubber stamp. We cannot expect that these two people act like a rubber stamp and they show some bias with the ruling government. They should not do that. They should not worry about political predisposition. They cannot act out of fear of the ruling party. Their actions should, in letter and spirit, show that they abide by the constitution. They uphold the values and the morals of the constitution. This article therefore speaks about two case studies here. One case study, let me write down, case study number 1, that comes from President R. Venkat Raman. First case study is about Indian former President R. Venkat Raman. Okay, R. Venkat Raman, whose regime lasted from 1987 to about 1992. Article says, during his regime, he had to deal with various prime ministers, Mr. Rajiv Gandhi, Mr. V.P. Singh, Chandrasekhar ji, and Mr. P.V. Narasimha Rao. He dealt with 4 prime ministers when he was the president. We are talking about Mr. R. Venkat Raman. At the same time, despite having dealt with 4 different prime ministers from 4 different parties and ideologies, he made sure that he took all the decisions independently. He not only conveyed his objections, if he had an objection with any particular party or a prime minister, he conveyed it to them personally, privately, so as to not cause any embarrassment or controversy. He maintained a very good balance between executive relations as well as his own independent duty. He therefore demonstrated experience-based guidance, no confrontation, no conflict, no argument with anyone. At the same time, the second case study is about former President Mr. K.R. Narayanan. The article has named him as KRN. Mr. K.R. Narayanan, a figure that was India's former president from 1997 to about 2002. And he also was a custodian of constitutional morality. Why? Because during his regime, we are talking about KRN, Mr. K.R. Narayanan, Indian president from 1997 to 2002. What does the article say about him? Now, please listen carefully. The article says that during 1997, in 1997, there was a controversy. The Union Cabinet was headed by Prime Minister Mr. I.K. Gujral. Okay, 1997, I.K. Gujral was heading the cabinet at the center. During this time, it was the Prime Minister Mr. I.K. Gujral who requested President K.R. Narayanan. What did he request? He said that please dismiss the Bharatiya Janata Party government in Uttar Pradesh headed by Mr. Kalyan Singh. That was a recommendation coming from I.K. Gujral ji to President K.R. Narayanan. In 1997, he requested, please dismiss in Uttar Pradesh the Bharatiya Janata Party led government by, he requested, please dismiss the government led by Bharatiya Janata Party headed by Mr. Kalyan Singh in Uttar Pradesh. But although in reality, President K.R. Narayanan and BJP's perspective did not match, President K.R. Narayanan was not a believer of BJP ideology. There was a big ideological gap between the two, the president, Mr. K.R. Narayanan, and the ruling party of Uttar Pradesh, the BJP. There was a huge difference in their ideologies, but still, at that time, President K.R. Narayanan did not act with his personal bias against BJP. He realized that he was the custodian of Indian Constitution. He was the president of India. He was not just the resident of Rashtrapati Bhavan. And he realized he was answerable to the Indian Constitution. And he did not agree to the recommendation by Mr. I.K. Gujral. He sent it back for reconsideration, and later the recommendation never came back. There was one more example and precedent that President R.K.R. Narayanan had shown. It was back in 1998. What was the recommendation? The recommendation came when BJP was in power at the center. Okay, so BJP was in power at that time in the center, and the newly appointed governor of Bihar, recommended that the governor or the government of Miss Rabdi Devi, who is the wife of the former chief minister, Mr. Lalu Prasad, whose family is in big controversy, big news right now after the latest election result in Bihar. Yes, so it goes to 1998 when BJP was in the power at the center, and in Bihar there was a controversy where the central government told the president, Mr. K.R. Narayanan, that in Bihar the newly appointed government of Miss Rabdi Devi should be dismissed. And the center said, please put president rule over there. It's important that in Bihar we put president rule and we remove the government led by Miss Rabdi Devi. That was the recommendation made by the governor of Bihar to the president. And which article of the constitution are we trying to mention here? Article 356. Do remember, we have to relate all the articles with constitution. So we are referring to article 356 of Indian Constitution. Why? What's the situation? 1998 is the year. BJP is in the power at the center, and the newly appointed governor of Bihar is telling the president of India, Mr. K.R. Narayanan, that please dismiss the government of Rabdi Devi because there is a lot of chaos in the state. The state is not being managed properly. So let's impose president rule in the state under Article 356 of the Constitution. So let me quickly remind you Article 356. If you remember, all of you, for UPSC, very important, the Constitution of India provides 3 kinds of emergencies. Yes, 3 types of emergencies to safeguard the country during any kind of political crisis. And which part of the Constitution are we talking about? Which part of the Constitution are we not talking about? The part 18 of the Constitution. Yes, Articles 352 to Articles 360 are being spoken about here. Everybody should remember GS Paper 2 Polity. Yes, the case study is 1998. Governor K.R. Narayanan. Situation, a request coming from the governor of Bihar to the president. Please impose president rule. The government at Bihar led by Miss Rabadi Devi is not solving the proper purpose of the governance. So do something about it. So which article of the constitution was being invoked? Article 356. Indian constitution talks about three kinds of emergencies, all covered under part 18 of the constitution, articles 352 to 360. What is article 356? Article 356 of the Indian Constitution deals with the failure of constitutional machinery in the state. I'll repeat. The failure of constitutional machinery in the state. Very good, Terukula. It says the president has the power to impose president rule upon receiving a report from the governor or otherwise being convinced that the government of the state cannot be carried on in accordance with the constitution. Absolutely, Ramu. That is presidential rule, article 356. Now, I really request each one of my dear students to remember 356 is president rule. What is 360? Financial emergency. And what is 352? Internal rebellion, armed aggression. So do remember about all these emergencies. Very important. Prelims direct questions can come from polity here, okay? So right now we spoke about president rule. Which article? 356. Yes? Now, there is one more clause about it. If an emergency is being proclaimed in the constitution, if the president agrees to impose the presidential rule, there is another protocol here. This legislation must be approved by both the houses of the parliament within 2 months. If approved, the emergency can continue for 6 months. And it can also be extended up to 3 years if there is a national emergency that's in proclamation, or if the election commission certifies that there is a difficulty in conducting election because of a total chaos in the state. So do remember these situations. Very good, absolutely, Sangha Mitra. Ramu, thanks for breaking it down for us. 352, national emergency. 356, president rule. 360, financial breakdown, financial emergency. Beautifully said. Very good, Sangha Mitra. Akhtar. Absolutely, as we are talking about the Manipur situation as well. Beautiful, Akhtar. Thank you, Ramu, for breaking down. Absolutely correct, Therukula. Very, very good. So do remember these things. So back in 1998, when the governor of Bihar was requesting with the president K.R. Narayanan, good morning, Vikash. I'm seeing you after so many days, Vikash. I missed you so much. Very good morning and welcome, Bacha. Okay, good morning, Sangha Mitra. Yes, so that's the case right now. 1998, there was a hope that the president K.R. Narayanan will impose some kind of president rule in Bihar. Article 356, we just spoke about it. Both Terukula and Ramu have given us a detailed breakdown. You can all refer to that, okay? That's the beauty of group study. Now, coming back to situation. In this case, the governor told President K.R. Narayanan in 1998 that, sir, in Bihar, the government is impossible now. There is a lot of financial mismanagement. There is a poor law and order. We cannot continue with the state government led by Miss Rabadi Devi. Please help us. What happened? What did the president do? The president understood that more than a breakdown of state law and order, it looks like a political controversy. And hence, being the custodian of constitutional morality, President K.R. Narayanan did not agree. He sent back the recommendation to the governor once again. This action of returning the recommendations had no politics to it. Zero politics. It only had fairness, constitutional morality, and constitutional transparency. Because fairness and morality are absolutely the need of conducting the role of the president properly. As opposite, corruption, fear, and bias in judgment will defeat the purpose of the position of the president at the center and the governor at the state. There is a duty that the president and the governor should abide by. One, no delay or no misuse of pocket veto. It's very bad. We shouldn't misuse the power of pocket veto. Staying silent. Not taking any call on any bill that is in front of you. Second, action neither mechanical nor obstructionist. That's a very good thing said by the article. Neither should a president at the center and the governor at the state act mechanically. They have to abide as the constitution tells you of morality. They have to make sure constitution is not a dead set of laws. As Dr. B.R. Ambedkar said, it is a life force of its own. We have to act with full passion and duty towards that, not mechanically. At the same time, we cannot also afford to act as an obstructionist. We cannot obstruct or stop bills from becoming laws. The same complaint that right now Tamil Nadu is making, that governors are acting like a representative of the center. They are not doing an independent decision making and deliberately delaying the bills for a period of years altogether, forcing the Supreme Court to step in. And then people blame it on judicial activism. But there is no solution. Otherwise, the state machinery will never coordinate with the center machinery, and that's a failure of cooperative federalism. Yes. And that's what this article says. A governor and a president should make sure their office are alert, alive to constitutional duties. And recently, what's happening in India? Let's come back to the modern day reality. Absolutely, Vikash, well said. Gyani Jail Singh had once used pocket veto. Absolutely, very well reminded. Also well reminded, Article 200, 201, the duties and responsibilities of the governor in the state. Very good. Absolutely, Akhtar. Very good, Akhtar. Wonderful. Akhtar reminds us of the 44th Amendment. Yes, where the word internal disturbance is now replaced by armed rebellion. Yes, very good. When you study all emergency protocols, Article 350 to 360, do remember this amendment also. Very well reminded. Thank you, Akhtar. Thank you, Vikash. Thank you so much. That's the kind of participation we look forward to. Good morning, Hussein. All right. So that's the situation right now. Did you understand everything? Now let's come back to the modern day situation. What is happening in the Supreme Court right now? Recently, a five judge bench of the Supreme Court has responded to the 16th what? 16th presidential reference. Presidential reference. Judge bench of Supreme Court has just 2-3 days before responded to the 16th presidential reference that was submitted in the court by President Ms. Draupadi Murmu. What are the key principles established by the court? One, there is no judicial timeline or deadline that can be imposed on the duty of governor or the president to act on the bills that are pending in front of them. Because in the constitution, there is no such upper limit. So there is nothing we can do. Second, although constitution is not giving any upper limit, and the courts also cannot therefore impose an upper limit of 3 months, 4 months, but still it is also the duty of the governor and the president to uphold the spirit of the constitution and act within certain time limit. It should be a sense of duty and morality that they should not keep the bills pending long and they have to act within a certain dignified time limit. It also recognizes that sometimes governors act due to political motivations because they act as the representation of the center. They act as affiliates of political parties. But the Supreme Court today says, I cannot be your tuition teacher. I cannot give you tutorials on how to interpret the constitution because the Supreme Court of India is not a tutor. It is only a custodian of constitutional balance. The Supreme Court says center and the state relations require cooperative federalism. One-sided misuse can lead to damaging the spirit of federalism. So what are the core messages given by the court? One, the court will not give any timeline. That's final. Two, the governance must be determined by ethics, fairness, and constitutional principles. No political games here. And second, although some incumbents elevate their office, some are elevated by the office and others reduce its stature. That means it is up to the duty of the president or the governor. They can uphold the constitution, they can defeat the constitution, or they can completely defeat the purpose of their position altogether. Court cannot become the tutor here. That's all for this article. What all have we covered? Article 356, 352, 360. Very well said by Vikash and who else said that? Terukula. Which article of the Constitution? 200, 201. The duty responsibility of the governor. Then very recently, Reshma also mentioned something and so did our dear Ramu said something and who else mentioned? Terukula mentioned. Yes, when I talk about presidential reference, which article am I talking about? Article 143 of the Indian Constitution. I'll repeat. Article 143 of the Indian Constitution. The president can take advice of Supreme Court with regards to interpreting critical questions regarding the Constitution. Yes, Eric, adjudication is the key function of the court to try to solve a dispute, to try to arbitrate in a dispute. But here Supreme Court says, I am not going to act like a tutor. I will not come and tell you an upper time limit, 6 months, 3 months, no. It is up to the governor and the president to live up to their role of the constitution. Very good, Vikash. Absolutely. That article also comes in the picture here, how the president and the governor have immunity against proceedings for violating a law. No, yes, very good, Abhishek. Beautiful. Although Supreme Court can give a recommendation, they can offer advice, but that advice is not binding on the president. Very good, very, very good. Yes, Ramu. President had raised 14 questions for seeking its clarification whether to give accent within a timeline or not. Beautiful. So already aspirant Varnika, Terukula, Vikash are answering. Let me come back to the question. With reference to the constitutional role of the president and the governor in India, consider the following statements. One, the Supreme Court has ruled that it can prescribe a mandatory time limit for governor to act on the bill passed by the state legislature. Two, returning a recommendation for president rule under Article 356 for reconsideration is within the constitutional authority of the president. And three, the Supreme Court said, opined means said, that evasive inaction, not taking an action by the governor while dealing with the bill violates the spirit of the constitution. Let's see who answers. The answer is coming from so many aspirants. Aspirants started, comes Varnika, Terukula, Vikash, Sitaram, Reshma, Sanghamitra, Dishank, Mumtaz has also answered. Good morning, Orbit. And who else has answered? Okay, Prajesh has answered, Eric has answered, everyone are saying the answer is B. Absolutely, that's correct. Yes, the third statement is valid. That's exactly what the Supreme Court said. Although I'm not going to be your tutor, I'm not going to give you an upper time limit, but evasive inaction, where the governor and the president are trying to run away from your duty. They are running away. That's not correct. They have to act with regards to constitutional morality and principles. The third is valid. If third is valid, then A cannot be the answer. Now looking at 2, returning a recommendation for president's rule under Article 356 for reconsideration is within constitutional authority of the president. That's a little confusing here. And A, Supreme Court has said it can prescribe a mandatory time limit. No, that's incorrect. So 1 is incorrect. C and D also cannot be the answers, making B as the only valid answer. Ramu, there's a confusion with second statement. Sanghamitra also agrees that there is a confusion with regard to second statement. Okay, let's keep this on a hold and come back and clarify. Let's do that. If there is a confusion with regards to second statement, let's come back and clarify. But as of now, through elimination, that seems the only logical answer. So that's right, Ramu, Eric, Bulbul. Good morning, Bulbul. That's okay. Most welcome. Okay. We'll come back and reconsider if there is any doubt. Yes. Okay, Sitara. Now, quickly, the second article, editorial page, page number 8. Very important again. It's a slightly new article. Usually all are repetitive in the newspaper, but this one is a little new. And this is talking about GS paper 3, health, nutrition and science. Technology, how to control food adulteration. How to ensure people are getting the right kind of food in India. How to prevent death and disease because of consumption of bad quality food. So it's GS paper 3. What are we looking at? Safe processing matters more than zesty flavors. That means food, no matter how good it tastes, no matter how much we want to consume it, ultimately it should be safe for us to consume. Otherwise, there is no benefit in consuming something that's tasty, but from inside it becomes a lethal, poisonated something. It kills you from inside. That's not okay. What does the article say? Article says increasing. There is an increase in the case of food adulteration and contamination. In India, it has become a major concern, a concern relating to food safety and public health in India. So what are we looking at? We are looking at food poisoning. The cases of food poisoning and food adulteration are today raising questions on food safety and the question of public health in India. Very good morning, Victory. Okay, That's the situation right now. And the biggest culprit, according to the article, happens to be street food. We all know in India, there is a very prominent segment of the population. In cities, it's the urban working population. In rural India as well, a lot many people actually completely depend upon street food. Absolutely, Ramu, very well said. The HFSS problem, high fat, salt, and sugar. Ultimately, it boils down to that. Beautifully reminded. We have done an article on this. Thank you, Ramu. That's very kind of you. HFSS is the main problem. This article says street food in India is very close to our culture. In India, we really believe in eating street food, not just because it's tasty, it's accessible, it's affordable, but also because it has a deep cultural significance. There is a variety of street food available outside every temple, outside every religious place, outside every fest, every event, every shopping mall, everywhere you will see a series of street food being offered to people, which is definitely affordable. But there is an issue. It today is facing scrutiny because it has poor hygiene standards and very poor safety practices. Recently, there have been so many episodes that have caused worry. In July 2024, in July 2024, some raids were conducted. Some inspection was conducted in Chennai. And it was found out that poor hygiene at about 58 Pani Puri stalls. Now, a very absolute favorite of all of us. We all know it's tempting, it's delicious, it's a part of our, utmost food love. But across 58 such chaat stalls, Pani Puri stalls, they were contaminated when it came to the water that they used, and they were very unsafe. The way these people were handling the food being given to the consumer was also very unsafe. This inspection has highlighted the gap in enforcement of laws and safety protocols across the informal food sector in India versus the formal packaged food industry. So today, you and I, being Indian citizens, are facing double kind of problem. Why double kind of problem? Now, if you look at the formal sector, we all know that economy also has a formal and informal sector. Yes. Similarly, food also has two kind of sectors, formal and informal. If you look at the formal sector is mostly comprising not only the good restaurants but also the packaging, the packaged food that you and I eat. That's the processed packaged food. And the other is the informal sector. The informal sector means the street food that's being sold openly outside. If you look at the formal sector, where there is a majority of packaged, processed food, the problem is what Ramu recently pointed. HFSS, the packaged processed food in India, is characterized by a very high fat, salt, sugar content. At the same time, there are various poisonous gases that are used to seal that food in a vacuum, mostly nitrous oxide, and many dangerous chemicals that we consume as we eat those foods. Plus, the packaging is questionable, no matter what kind of plastics they claim to be using. After all, these are made up of plastics. Even if it's food grade, it is exposed to high temperature, extreme cold, refrigeration. Will that not have some kind of a plastic contamination in the human body when consumed? Definitely it will. That's the danger with the formal sector food. And if you look at the informal sector, the street food, that is again problematic because there, more than chemical contamination, more than vacuum packaging and plastic, the problem is of hygiene, poor quality water, repeatedly using the same oil for frying a samosa or say chips. When you use that oil so many times, hundreds of times, it becomes toxic. It becomes metallic, and ultimately we consume that. So in India, recently there was a report that said there are about 100 million food-borne disease illnesses. 100 million kinds of food associated illnesses that are reported per year, annual basis. And what is more shocking is that 1,20,000 people die annually. How much? 1,20,000 people die annually because they are consuming informal food sources. They got contaminated. There was a bacterial infection, possibly some kind of food poisoning. Ultimately, they died. We all understand not everybody gets a timely treatment, and sometimes there is also a rising concern regarding AMR, antimicrobial resistance. Sometimes these diseases cannot be cured. What happens? 1,20,000 people are dying annually. according to Observer Research Foundation data that has been created. Now, in all this situation, in all this chaos, we question about the FSSAI. Very good, Vikash. FSSAI 2006, yes. Now we raise a question about the role and the duty of FSSAI. What is FSSAI? The Food Safety and Standards Act. It was created in 2006. But what is this? It is the apex, the topmost. What is apex? The topmost. It is the topmost food regulator in India, responsible for ensuring safe and wholesome, nutritious food to the consumers. Where does it work? It functions under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Health and Family Welfare, it was established by the Food Safety and Standards Act 2006, where it became the single law consolidating all the previous laws that were existing. What was the duty of this? What is supposed to be the role? To be responsible for regulating both. Now, do remember, FSSAI is responsible for regulating both the packaged as well as unpackaged food in India. Let's remember, it monitors both. Its duty is to regulate packaged and unpackaged food in India. Its duty is to ensure compliance for unpackaged street vendors due to scale and the informal nature of their operation. Third, it also regulates packaged food industry. It makes sure that packaged food industry is following labeling, traceability, standard safety protocols, but it is always easier. It is always easy to track the packaged food industry. It is very tough. It's very difficult for the FSSAI to track unpackaged food industry because it's informal, it is spread across the city, across the villages, and it's very difficult to keep a track on them. When it comes to packaged food, yes, it follows a definite supply chain from say wholesale to the retail to the consumer. Every data, every sale is recorded. It's much easier to see whether they are following proper food labels, whether they are also declaring expiry dates, or whether they are using food grade packaging. It's much easy to manage that. It's much easy to trace that. But the real problems comes with unpackaged food. That's very tough to trace. Although FSSAI should regulate both, but it's very tough to regulate unpackaged food. Therefore, in India, FSSAI has done many initiatives. One of the biggest initiatives taken by FSSAI is Eat Right India. Eat Right India. What's the purpose? To promote safe, healthy, sustainable diet. Another initiative very famous is Clean Street Food Hubs. Clean Street Food Hubs. Purpose? Hygienic certification for street food clusters. Third, another initiative taken is called Fortification Plus. Fortification Plus. To try to ensure fortification of various staple foods like rice, wheat, pulses by either vitamin B12, vitamin D, calcium, some kind of protein. We all have spoken about the importance of these foods called fortified foods and smart proteins. That's also the duty of FSSAI. Then another is Food Safety Mitra. Food Safety Mitra. What's the purpose? To make sure that various informal sector food chains will comply to the standards by registering themselves with the government. And then ultimately it's about training. Give the street vendors some kind of hygiene and packaging training. It was also one of the key ideas of PM Swanidhi. PM Swanidhi that was created to promote more loans, more livelihood for the street vendors who became unemployed during COVID pandemic. A key part of the loan was also training these people into hygiene, wearing gloves, packaging properly, sealing the food properly, storing in ideal conditions. It was also highlighted there. But now what is happening, although the industry and consumers are shifting towards health conscious products, fortification in India is becoming common to fight malnourishment. We are now, the private sector is fighting with each other to match consumer preference. Vegan food, plant-based food, low sugar food, low unsaturated and saturated fat food, less sodium oriented diets. The problem is the street food sector has no idea about all that. Although people still consume that. As I said, it's easy. It's affordable, it is accessible, it is a part of our culture because they offer you all the local cuisines everywhere in India. Yes, it promotes tourism. Yes, it also gives employment. But the problem is hygiene issue is very, very bad. They reuse the cooking oil, leading to trans fat and toxic compounds in the oil that you and I consume. They use unsafe water and they wash their utensils in a very unsafe environment, leading to various bacterial contaminations in the food. It leads to underreported cases of gastrointestinal illness, food poisoning. A lot of people either die or become chronically sick because of that. Today, is taking so many more initiatives for training the street vendors, giving them certification, asking them to integrate themselves with the formal economy through self registration on government portals. A very good example is how in Mumbai, a proper training session was done in food safety for the street vendors to train them in hygiene, self handling, storage, waste disposal. All across India, yes, there is a proper implementation of Eat Right India mission, Clean Street Food Hub mission, but the challenge is this sector is unorganized. Majority of people coming from the rural areas, villages, as unskilled or semi-skilled workers, they try to find some income in the city. I have spoken to you about how the disguised and the seasonal unemployment of the village becomes the structural and vulnerable unemployment of the city. In India, the equation is very clear. I always tell you people migrate, but with people, unemployment also migrates. There is no much change in their employment status. They were not earning enough in village, they don't earn enough in city. They just physically migrate. And with them, the nature of unemployment changes. Village, disguised seasonal, is equal to city, structural, vulnerable. Vulnerable is also called hidden unemployment, where people are into street vending, domestic maid, taxi driver, construction worker, no better income, no guarantee, no social security, but they are just working for some daily wage. So that's the problem here. There are so many such people in India. The scale is massive. For FSSAI to keep regulating, training, and to promote awareness is a very tough job. So, what is the situation right now? How can we manage that? Food safety must be determined by science, accountability, safety commitment. We cannot just go on consuming street food because we are emotionally attached to that. It gives us some kind of a guilt free pleasure. No, we have to understand we first identify the hygiene standards. We report. If the needs be, we should report with the authorities. That's the consumer awareness part. As far as the street vendors are concerned, regular workshops for them, regular seminars for them, providing easy accessible online seminars, probably some gift in return, like a free cooking vessel or some kind of a free coupon, making them understand that people whom they are catering to are also the young people of India. If the food is expired, poor quality or unhygienic, it will only lead to impact on India's demographic dividend with 1,20,000 people dying every year. So provide vendor training, provide them proper subsidized ration, integrate them with the public distribution system of India, allow them to take loans under PM Swanidhi, but also make sure that they get this at the cost of implementing hygiene standards. That's it. That's all the article. Now, quickly the question with reference to food safety regulation in India. Look at the following statements. 1. The FSSAI regulates both packaged and unpackaged foods in the country. 2. Packaged foods often offer better traceability and transparency due to labeling requirement and standardized processing. 3. Foodborne illness in India are predominantly linked to contamination from formal organized food manufacturing units. And 4. National campaigns like Eat Right India, Clean Street Food Hub aim to improve hygiene standards among the street food vendors. Now, which of these statements do you think are valid? It's an easy question. It's a very easy question. They are very dangerous, Ashish. Absolutely. Pani puri, samosa. Yeah, it makes you sick, Sangamitra. That's correct. They are very dangerous, especially if the water is not clean. Yes. Disguised unemployment, Ramu. Absolutely. Yes, victory. Okay. Answers are coming. Started with Terukula, Varnika, Reshma, Sumed, Dishank, Ashish, Vikash, Sitaram, Sanghamitra, Eric, Ramu. All right. And everyone says the answer is A. So yes, it's obviously A because the third statement here is not correct. We all know that in India, foodborne illness typically comes from the unregulated, unorganized, informal street food segment because of a compromise of hygiene. It's very difficult to trace these food stalls. They have no registration license. Sometimes they don't register themselves. They don't comply. They are not trained people. So yes, it leads to foodborne illness, whereas all the other statements are valid. That's correct, Victory. Absolutely. And Ashish, yes. Even yesterday, as you're saying in the news, there was a very big question about the role of FSSAI. That why in India FSSAI has failed to not only promote hygiene, but also to promote awareness regarding reading food labels. Most of the Indian consumers, even those who are very well educated in cities, are deluded. They are fooled every day by misleading food labels, and there is nothing much that we have accomplished so far. So absolutely a big social problem. Well answered, Victory. Absolutely. That's correct, Terukula. The problem is we can't even guarantee that the formal food is 100% safe. Yes, we cannot do that. Unless there is a regular monitoring, we cannot do that. Especially when it comes to packaged foods. High amount of HFSs, fat, salt, oil, the gases that go in vacuum sealing are all toxic. They are highly carcinogenic in nature. That's very good. In fact, people say anything that comes in a packet is not food at all. Okay. All right. Next article. No plan to bring the bill on Chandigarh, says the central government. Just yesterday on Sunday, because we don't meet on Sunday, there was a controversy about Chandigarh. You must have seen in the newspaper. Yes, absolutely, Ramu. That also reminds me of the 4 labor laws that are now replacing the earlier British Raj 28 fragmented laws. Absolutely. One of these laws also talks about occupational safety and social security code. So that also relates here. Very good. Absolutely, Abhishek. And now, as Sita Ram says, this article deals with GS Paper 2, Polity and Governance, Article 240 of the Indian Constitution. Thank you so much, Sita Ram. Beautiful. Yesterday, a controversy has broken out about Chandigarh. Now, what's the controversy? So, what has happened is that the government had created a bill earlier. And in that bill, it was said that Chandigarh will also be now aligned with other union territories. Just like other union territories without any state legislature, Article 240, Chandigarh will also be brought under that. Chandigarh will be brought under Article 240 of the Constitution, which means it will be coming under the list of those union territories that do not have any proper legislative assembly. That was the announcement by the government, but now there is so much uproar about it. People were so angry about it. Opposition parties were so upset about it that now the Supreme Court had to intervene, and therefore the central government has finally clarified. The central government, the Home Ministry, the Union Home Ministry has finally clarified that no, there is no such intention of introducing a constitutional amendment bill to bring Chandigarh under Article 250 of the Constitution. Finally, the clarity has come after so much debate and problem started. Why did all this start? The major debate and the major controversy started in Punjab. What happened? Now, Chandigarh is the joint capital of Punjab and Haryana. I think we all know that. Chandigarh is right now the joint capital of Punjab and Haryana. The government, therefore, had to respect and acknowledge the fact that for all these decades, Chandigarh has been same shared capital of Punjab, Haryana. It is governed under arrangements laid out within Punjab Reorganization Act 1966. We all know that many states in India, most all states in India were created through the States Reorganization Bill. It all started with Andhra Pradesh, yes, the first linguistic state. Before independence, it was Odisha. After independence, the first one was Andhra. Last, 2014 was Telangana. Similarly, in between, we had so many such separations. 1960, Gujarat and Bombay became separate. 2000, Uttarakhand, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand became separate, yes. Similarly, 1966, there was an act called Punjab Reorganization Act. Under that, Chandigarh is also governed as the joint capital of Punjab and Haryana. That's it. Right. Currently, the governor of Punjab, the governor of Punjab acts as the administrator of Chandigarh. Let's understand. Currently, the governor of Punjab, yes, very good. Currently, the governor of Punjab acts as the administrator of Chandigarh. The governor of Punjab is the administrator of Chandigarh. Perfect. It's a shared capital between the two. It's being governed under Punjab Reorganization Act 1966. The controversy started as the central government announced an amendment bill named as the Constitution 131st Amendment Bill 2025. The entire controversy started as this bill was listed on November 21st Lok Sabha Bulletin. It was just listed, okay? It was just listed in the Lok Sabha events calendar in the bulletin. And that's when the controversy broke out. The government expressed its desire to bring Chandigarh under Article 240, to bring it at the same platform with other union territories without a proper legislature, to enable the appointment of an independent administrator or a lieutenant governor who will now be in charge of Chandigarh and not the governor of Punjab. Understood? Right now, the governor of Punjab acts as the administrator of Chandigarh. But if Chandigarh is brought under Article 240, just like some other UTs without a legislature, that would mean the central government will now be able to appoint a lieutenant governor or an administrator for Chandigarh. And the governor of Punjab will then not be able to regulate Chandigarh. Everything started from there. Political reaction started coming. Opposition, whether it's Indian National Congress, whether it's Aam Aadmi Party, Shiromani Akali Dal, all of them started reacting that this means central government will now fully control Chandigarh. It will completely impact the traditional arrangements between Punjab and Haryana. And this became a very politically sensitive issue in Punjab due to historical claims over Chandigarh. Now, after so much mess and chaos, the central government has now clarified that it is only a bill, a proposal under consideration. It was only listed in the Lok Sabha bulletin. There is no final decision that has been taken, and the bill will not be introduced in the upcoming winter session of the parliament. The government has clarified there is no such aim that will change the nature of control and administration of Chandigarh. There is no change. There is no such ambition of the central government to try to alter or to change the existing governance or the relationship between states, Punjab, Haryana, or their relationship with the center. And if in future any decision happens, it will only be done under cooperative federalism with all the stakeholders invited for the discussion. Politically, the response was very negative. Especially Mr. Jairam Ramesh from Congress says the government should also consider that why is it using the fast approach? That's what the Indian National Congress is saying. It is criticizing this announcement by saying it is like the fast approach. First announce, then think. Why should you do that? First announce, then think. You should do the opposite, right? First think and then announce. But here in this case, it looks like the government first announced, then thought. And that's when the government went back on its order and started recalibrating. And it has clarified, no, there is no such possibility. And right now, there is no clarity on that. It will not even be discussed in the winter session, so rest assured. So for this article, do remember Article 240 of the Indian Constitution. Absolutely important. Do remember cooperative federalism. Very important. Do remember the Punjab Reorganization Act 1966, under which Chandigarh is the joint capital of both Punjab and Haryana. That's all. Also remember for the ethics paper, if the central government is empowered to appoint a lieutenant governor or an administrator for a union territory, there is always the fear that the UT will come under direct control of the central government. Okay. Now the question, with reference to the proposed Amendment 131 of the Constitution related to Chandigarh, look at the following statements. 1. The bill sought to bring Chandigarh under Article 240 of the Constitution, enabling the appointment of an independent administrator or a lieutenant governor. 2. Currently, Chandigarh is administered by a lieutenant governor appointed by the President of India. Okay. 3. The Union government clarified that it has no intention of introducing a bill in the upcoming winter session of the parliament. And 4. Chandigarh became a UT after Punjab Reorganization Act 1966. Answers are rolling in. Started with Varnika, aspirant Reshma, Victory, Vikash, Deepak, Ramu, Sanghamitra, Sitaram, Eric, Mumtaz, Terukula, Reshma, Dishank, Sumedh, Prajesh. Everyone says the answer is A, and absolutely well done, well answered, well understood. Perfect. Beautiful. Absolutely, the answer is A. Here, the second statement is not correct. Why? Because Chandigarh right now is not being administered by a lieutenant governor or administrator appointed by the central government, by the president. In fact, it is the governor of Punjab who acts as the administrator of Chandigarh. And that's why people reacted so badly at the proposed inclusion of Chandigarh in Article 240, that is, Union territories without legislature. We are mostly done with the lengthy articles, quickly the small ones. The Prime Minister of India, as he is attending the G20 summit, the group of 20 summit, during the third session of the G20 summit, the Indian Prime Minister Shri Modi has clearly said that people and communities and countries across the world have to come together and make a global protocol that governs the use of artificial intelligence. The use of AI should not only be ethical, but it should also be human centric rather than finance centric. Rather than using AI just for more benefit, more profit, and technological advancement, we have to make sure AI should not be misused. The use of deep fakes to create fake synthetic data not only misguides the public, it also brings shame to various celebrities and public figures. So therefore, we have to have a policy which by design offers a transparent, restriction-based and a strict regulation of AI. Owing to the rise of crimes, cybercrime, deep fake, online arrest, digital scam, cyber frauds, they all have to be addressed. But with that in mind, the countries have to cooperate with each other, and G20 can become an excellent global framework that can offer us that kind of possibility. So that's what the Prime Minister says. Okay. Yeah, absolutely, Eric, that's correct. Yes, Sankhamitra. Thank you, Reshma. Yes, the summit is happening in Johannesburg, South Africa. So let's remember G20. This year we have too many summits to remember. Shanghai Cooperation Organization, China, Tianjin Declaration. APEC, South Korea. Beaufort Declaration. ASEAN 47 Summit, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. 2026, the year of India-ASEAN Maritime Cooperation, reconsideration of trade relations with RCEP. Then G77, the group of 77. Rishi is not here, but he had clarified the G77 in one of our sessions, I remember. Then G7, the group of 7. And now G20 in Johannesburg, South Africa. Very good, Balram. Very good morning. Okay, that's it. Next article, a new development with regards to Russia-Ukraine war. Now, you might also feel that this is a complete hypocritical attitude shown by President Trump once again. Yes, so be it. It is. Why? Because immediately in the last 1 week, the attitude of President Trump towards Ukraine has changed. Now he's saying that I have created a peace plan. And the peace plan is now already submitted to the Ukraine leader. Now President Trump wants that Ukraine should already begin disarmament. It should just stop the use of arms. It should discontinue the war with Russia, and it should cede all the territories that it has occupied during war. Now this was not only a shock to Ukraine, it is also a shock to majority of European Union countries who are also key partners in the NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization. A war that started in 2022 between Russia and Ukraine has now seen the third year. The war is still continuing. Despite so many interventions, the war continued. Suddenly today, American president says, let's finish the war. We do not want to continue the war. And one more thing, he is warning Ukraine that now forget about the war and also forget about being a part of NATO. Do not have political ambitions that you will now become a part of NATO. So that's a slap that President Trump has given to Mr. Zelensky from Ukraine. That one, start disarmament. Second, stop your military ambitions and give back the territories that you have captured. And three, stop dreaming about becoming a part of NATO. Now, this has definitely shocked European Union countries. After all, there is so much investment in the Ukraine war. In the last 3 years, America, EU, all of them have strengthened the Ukraine. Ukraine is all set to become a NATO member. It also highlights the Article 5 of the NATO Charter Collective Defense. There was also a report recently when the Zapad exercises were happening, Zapad, between Belarus and Russia. Belarus is a key ally of Russia. Those exercises created a fear in the eastern flank of the NATO, eastern boundary of the NATO, with countries like Romania complaining that Russia and Belarus are trying to jointly create a drone surveillance of our military setup. We have to do something to stop them. At that time, everyone was blindly supporting Ukraine. And now suddenly today, what is American president saying? He is saying that Ukraine has shown zero gratitude. Look at the words. He uses very harsh words, by the way. He says Ukraine leader has shown zero gratitude to the US and to the European Union for all the efforts that they have done to support it against Russia. And despite that, Ukraine continued to have some kind of Russian oil purchase. And this is not acceptable to us, he says. When we cannot allow India, when we cannot allow China and Brazil, then who are you? Why should we allow you? So he says Ukraine's leader is a very ungrateful person. And he has shown zero thankfulness, zero gratitude, not only to US but also to Europe. Right? And therefore now it's high time Ukraine stops the war. Ukraine listens to the draft, and the only timeline that has been given is until Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is coming now, the festival in November end, and the President Trump says before Thanksgiving it's high time Ukraine gives me clarity, and I will also have various meetings with European Union leaders, and together we will try to control the ambitions of Ukraine. Very tight slap, I would say, but that has been given now. Yes, arbitration, Eric, absolutely. Ocean Sky exercise was also NATO exercise. What's unique about that? India is the first non-NATO country to participate in Ocean Sky exercise. Very good. Yes, absolutely victory. That's correct. Yes, Sitaram. Okay. Next article. America to launch a new phase of operations in Venezuela as tensions arise. Now, repeatedly we have spoken about Operation Southern Spear. I'm not going to draw the spear because everybody laughs at me, but Operation Southern Spear, the military action taken by US on various boats and ships from Colombia and Venezuela. Why? Because US says Venezuela and Colombia have failed to control the narcotic traffic, the drug traffic, the fentanyl production. It's a place where drug mafias operate. The government has failed to control them, and from here the drugs enter United States of America. So therefore, US is not only right now trying to conduct heavy military exercises with an island called Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad and Tobago. That's very near the Venezuelan coast. Very good. Very near the coast of Venezuela. Yes, US is conducting joint exercises with Trinidad and Tobago, and that has created fear in Venezuela. Although Trinidad and Tobago has clarified that this exercise is not to create situation for a future attack on Venezuela, but reality we all know. And the Venezuelan leader, Mr. Maduro, is also very nervous about it. He says earlier they were only attacking our ships and boats, but now they have also started conducting military exercise near our coast in Trinidad and Tobago. That's very near our territory. What does it mean? In line with exercise Southern Spear, in line with the military drills in Trinidad and Tobago, yes, US is all ready in future to perhaps attack Venezuela. A new war may start because President Trump says, I am not going to tolerate any kind of drug racket and drug smuggling, especially fentanyl. Yes, Reshma, absolutely. The drug menace, which also impacts America. And he also says the leader of Venezuela, Mr. Maduro, rather than controlling, also supports the supply of illegal drugs. And therefore, he says, I am not going to stop the control, the surveillance. We will continue to attack these boats and ships. Whether it will also result in the land-based attack, that is yet to be seen. But there is a lot of fear right now. Now, last news, former Chief Justice of India. Yes, Chief Justice of India, Mr. or Justice B.R. Gavai, who recently retired from the post yesterday. Yesterday, he has retired from the post. Yes, he is the Chief Justice of India. He retired yesterday, but before retiring, he said something very interesting. He said that Constitution of India is the key provider of all the values and principles that we need for properly governing our country. In that case, he is referring to the 16th presidential reference, where President Draupadi Murmu under Article 143 of the Constitution. Which article? Article 143 of the Constitution. President Draupadi Murmu had seen the advice of Supreme Court. Yes, as Abhishek mentioned about half an hour back, these advices from the Supreme Court are not binding on the president, but they are advisory in nature. And under Article 143, a president can ask for advice from the Supreme Court when it comes to critical matters of interpreting Constitution. Yes, Victory, the 52nd Chief Justice of India. He recently retired. Yesterday he retired. Now he is saying that in India a big issue started. A very big issue started on April 8th. Why did all of this start? When the governor of the Tamil Nadu was blamed that he deliberately delays the bills. He deliberately does not give his approval or denial, or he doesn't take any action on the bills that come from legislative assembly. And therefore the state government started saying that governors are acting as agents of the center. We should have a 3-month time limit. If it is not approved within 3 months, it will be considered approved. Automatic approval will start. But the Supreme Court on November 20th, under 5-judge bench, said that no, it's not valid. Our constitution doesn't say that if the bill is not approved within 3 months, there is automatic approval. There is no such clause in the constitution, and therefore we must not misinterpret this reasonable period as 3 months or 6 months. We cannot act as a tutor. We cannot act as a teacher. We will not give an upper timeline. But we strongly suggest that all the governors and the president should act within a reasonable period. This reasonable period has not been explicitly defined by the government. It is up to the president and the governor to understand that they are the custodian of the constitution. They cannot act carelessly. They cannot indiscriminately use the pocket veto. They can't do that. So therefore, let them act with full intelligence, with full patience, but with responsibility. And in this case, the court says, I can do review, but I cannot do unlimited judicial review. It only depends case by case. We cannot have a blanket 3 months limit for every case in every state in India. That's not possible. Ideally, it is giving a guideline, but it is not implementing them. Supreme Court says, I am not implementing any upper time limit. No, I can't do that. That's anti-constitutional. It's not there in the constitution. But I'm just suggesting that for routine bills, ideally they should be clear in 1 month. For emergency bills that are about an emergency provision, they should be cleared within 3 to 4 months. But Justice B.R. Gavai, as he retires, also says, advisory opinions are only an advice to the president under Article 143. They cannot either be binding, neither can they overrule the judgments. So therefore, court cannot give a timeline because it's not in the constitution. It is up to the parliament to create timelines if they think it is valid. Timelines should not be rigid, but timelines should be, some upper timelines should be there so that the bills also do not go and die indefinitely. But every case needs a different jurisdiction. We cannot have a blanket decision in that case. That's all for this article. Very good, Ramu. He says, assenting the bill only through amendment of the parliament. Yes, judiciary cannot do that. Otherwise, that will become over judicial review, over judicial activism, and that's not allowed. Very well said. Absolutely, Ramesh. It will help you, Bacha. Absolutely, yes. Very good. Everybody is saying the next Chief Justice, the 53rd Chief Justice, Balram and Reshma are confirming, is going to be Justice Suryakant. That's very true. Thank you so much. That's very kind of you, Manisha. All right. So that's it for this article now. And therefore, this judgment, this announcement by the former Chief Justice who retired yesterday, Justice B.R. Gavai, it finally establishes the fact that decisions are made case by case. Decisions are made on the basis of law and constitution. And Justice Gavai says, we cannot be pressurized to give a time limit. It is up to the legislature. As Ramu has explained beautifully also. It should be made by the parliament, not by legislature. It should be made by the parliament, not by judiciary. It becomes over judicial activism. And judiciary is not a tutor. It cannot do that. That's all for this article. Yes, Justice Suryakant today. Very good. He will take the oath today. Beautiful. And the article that we spoke about is Article 143. These references are advisory in nature, not binding. And these are presidential references. Under Article 143, an Indian president can seek the opinion of Supreme Court on any fact any constitutional principle of public importance. But it is only advisory, it is not binding. That's all we need to remember. Now let's end the session by one last question. With reference to the recent presidential reference opinion on governors and the president acting on bills, look at the following statements. One, the Supreme Court in its advisory opinion held that governors and the president must act on the bills within 3 months, failing which assent will be automatically granted, automatic approval. Second, a precedent reference under Article 143 clarifies the law, but it does not overrule the judgment. And three, the advisory opinion allows limited judicial review of a governor's action or inaction of the bill based on facts and circumstances. Last, routine bills may typically be around 1 month, and emergency bills could require 3 to 4 months. That's a guideline issued by the court, but it's not to be strictly implemented. So which of these are valid? Began by Reshma, Vikash, Terukula, Sumed, Victory Aspirant, Ramu, Sanghamitra, Mumtaz, Sitaram, and Eric. Absolutely correct. B is the valid answer. Beautifully answered. Thank you for your very kind comment, Victory. That's I'm so humbled by that. And absolutely that's a correct response. First is not correct. We do not allow automatic approval in India. So that's it for today's session. Here are all the answers for your reference. Okay, and one quick reminder as I'm taking your leave now. One thing is, thank you so much for your beautiful participation. Absolutely, Ramu. Thanks for explaining. That's beautifully explained. Yes, Prajesh and Dishank, that's correct. Now, as I take your leave, thank you for the wonderful interaction with me throughout the session, for your keen participation. After all, the idea of this news analysis is definitely not passive news reading. It never was. The idea is to talk, interact, and as you all are seeing, it's right in front of you that so many aspirants are eagerly suggesting 5 new points for every topic that we discuss. And here, I personally strongly believe Thursday, I'm going to take a Zoom session for 1 hour at 3 p.m. just to clarify various doubts about Prelims 2026 and to guide you for CSAT before I can begin my formal classes for CSAT. But the idea is to interact. See, without interaction, so many things cannot come in your mind. So 10 opinions come from you, some comes from me, and then it's an exchange of topics that makes us remember and link everything. Remember, everything is linked. The idea of separately studying every topic is senseless for UPSC. So thank you for your interaction. It really means a lot. It's the purpose of this lecture. Thank you. God bless each one of you. I'll see you tomorrow. PDF you will get right here, bacha, in the comment box, in the description box of this video. You will have a link. You will get it right there. First question, second statement. In the first question also, answer was B. Okay, I'll just read the statement, bring it back and discuss it tomorrow. Time is over almost, so we'll come back and tomorrow discuss Terukula. Okay, thank you for reminding so much. Yes, essay writing, we will have a class. CSAT also will have a class, but I'll keep you updated for that. So thank you so much. Very kind of you. God bless each one of you. Love all of you. See you tomorrow. A quick reminder about 25th November. That's tomorrow. Admissions are closing for 2027 batch. Those who are writing exam in 2027, join the program if you want to prepare for all GS topics, all CSAT, prelims, news, everything, one-on-one mentorship. The price is right now very easy, 20,999, 20,999 only. Use code SPLIVE. Do popularize that, please. Help me out there. For target year 2028 also. Let people know, spread the word, please, that if they are interested in 2028 preparation, a very big opportunity, 34,999, 15 months plus guidance, one-on-one mentorship, prelims, mains, interview guidance, all covered. Price 34,999. How to apply? Just one click away, use code SPLIVE. Sale admission is ending tomorrow, so that's the last day to take this offer. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ramu, for your kind attempt at explaining. God bless you. All right, then I'll take your leave. Thank you, Victory, Sanghamitra, Ramu, Rameshwar, Manisha, Eric, Therukula, Balram, Sumit, Sitaram, Prajesh, Dishank, Mumtaz, Neelam, Vikash, Reshma, and who else is there? Aspirant. That's it, I believe. Jyoti is there. Okay, Jyoti, we'll take a Western Ghats issue. Pakka. Deepak is there. Ramu, of course. Eric is there. Abhishek is there. Sumed is there. Sanghamitra is there. Orbit was there. Bulbul is there with us. Varnika is there with us. Hussein is there with us. All right, then I'll take your leave now. I'll see you tomorrow. God bless you. Zoom session is free. They will just advertise it on YouTube. I think it will be advertised today. It's just you can just register and join us. No formalities as such. Take care.